The US this week said it will impose a visa ban on spoilers of Nigeria's upcoming elections, showing intent to prevent chaos in Africa's most populous nation. The warning came amid fears of plans to either swing or scuttle the elections meant to determine the success of President Muhammadu Buhari. Today, I am announcing visa restrictions for those involved in undermining democracy in Nigeria, said US Secretary of State Anthony Blinken. To support Nigeria's upcoming elections, today I am announcing visa restrictions for those involved in undermining democracy in Nigeria. The United States supports Nigerian aspirations to combat corruption and strengthen democracy and the rule of law, it said in a statement on its Twitter page. In the past couple of weeks, Atiku Abubakar, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, has been the subject of an unrelenting media attack by spokespersons of the rival All Progressives Congress about his purported mishandling of government finances and contracts at the time he served as Vice President of Nigeria. Festus Keyamo, spokesperson of the APC Tinubu Presidential Campaign Council, calls it SPV Gate in clear reference to claims that Atiku and former President Olusegun Obasanjo had deployed special purpose vehicles to help themselves to public funds while in office. He claims to have lodged petitions to this effect before some investigative agencies and continues to argue that the PDP flag bearer is unfit to run for office of President of Nigeria. Are there hard, verifiable facts to those claims or mere partisan politicking? How can those claims possibly affect Atiku's chances? And with PDP still being held back by the activities of a dissident group of governors in its fold, what exactly does the immediate future hold for Nigeria's main opposition party with less than 1 month to the presidential election? We are now being joined for a quick chat by Dr. Pedro Obaseki, who is the Director, Research and Strategy at Atiku Okowa Presidential Campaign Organization. Good morning, Dr. Obaseki.
Good morning, Steve. Good morning, Aaron.
Good morning.
I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us. Well, the issues are very clear, and we'll dive right into them. With all that is happening, Dr. Pedro Obaseki, are you still confident that your candidate, Atiku Abubakar, has a pathway to victory, given the fact that people are saying that every vote or most votes that will go to Peter Obi of the Labour Party and to Rabiu Kwakwanso of the NMPP are potential PDP votes, if they had not left the party. Now we have the SPV Gate that is holding, possibly holding, you're distracting you or holding you down. And then all of a sudden, it looks like Osun State is slipping away from the PDP. How bad can things get if you had the fact that Governor Wike and his gang are still there with potential votes that may not go the way of the PDP? Any pathway at all for victory?
The only people doubting the pathway to victory are basically the Lagos press. And I want to say clearly that when I hear, I keep wondering sometimes if we are erased with short memories. On the issue, there's a very long, long discussion points. First, let me attack the first one. The case of Festus Keyamo is almost like the case of a thief trying to call someone else a thief because he is the perpetual thief. We are having a situation. I'm happy the way you constructed the question and you used the word purported. And if I take that, taking it from both the spirit or letter of the law, it is just purported. So I would rather choose your second alternative, random politicking. So we cannot begin to leverage and dissect the Nigerian election, which is the future of the Nigerian nation for the next 4 years, based on rumor mongering and some form of Mephistophelian recordings. On the other hand, we have a man, the APC presidential flag bearer, who has already not indicted, but to the extent of being made to make a forfeiture. Whether you like it or not, a forfeiture of asset is a punitive measure, which is a punishment for a crime committed. And it is easy. You have to look at it clearly. It was between 1992 and 1993. A year-long prosecution and investigation. And then there is a judgment. And that judgment was as a result of a plea bargain. So we are looking at a man who we all know in the public domain was seized 460,000 US dollars as of 1992. 2002, 2012, whereas a man who was meant to forfeit that 30 years ago, if you calculate it in today's dollar, he was meant to forfeit close to $1.2 million, which is presently at the black market rate more than 1 billion naira for narcotics. Is specifically stated there, proceeds of narcotics trafficking. Not to talk about the exposure that was made, which is, that one is an allegation. But this one is not an allegation. So Tinubu, ab initio, have no reason to even run. This is not something that was cooked up today. In 1999, the whole same thing started. This is a man you are talking about. So he's the only one that has no pathway when you talk about pathway. So not when you talk about Atiku. Atiku's own is very simple. The next president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, based on all verifiable metrics, is Atiku Abubakar.
Okay,
now let's look at it.
Dr. Obaseki, before you go on,
yes.
What is the precise position of your party, of your candidate, on all the allegations by Michael Achimogu, who claims to be a former aide of Atiku Abubakar and who has been releasing even voice notes, to buttress his point? What is the official position on this gentleman in all these allegations?
No. You see, our official position has been in the public domain from day one. We have been in the public domain from day one. Our position is very simple. Number one, a man who, I think it was Dino Melaye, he said clearly, where is a letter showing that this boy was an aide? Number two, the guy has gone on to release things in the public domain, which he purportedly said is Atiku Abubakar. So for you to ever be able to, in this next 4 weeks, you have to provide forensics to be able to prove that. Number three, if as a lawyer, we all know that things that are dubiously, nothing stands on his head. Things that are dubiously, evidences that are dubiously obtained are not even ab initio tenable. But let's forget about that. I don't want us to begin to dwell on things that are distractive. You said it in your opening statement that are these not going to distract us? So we have pushed aside those distractions. We are looking at the propensity of this election and who can deliver Nigeria. And looking at them, looking at the personality, the experience, the manifestos, and the ability, passion of the power of the passion to change and rescue this country. And we are saying clearly, you are in Lagos, and I'm very sure that the whole of our lower road must be inundated with endless fuel queues today. We are not in government. Nigerians should not be hoodwinked by all these Facebook, TikToking, Instagram, virtual, non-existent things that don't affect the take-home pay of every average Nigerian. We should be introspecting the APC 8 years of the locust. We should be looking at where was Nigeria before. Where is Nigeria now? And so we can project where Nigeria will be. If we are doing that as public opinion molders, as people of the fourth estate of the realm, which yourself and myself we are, we should be playing the ombudsman to deliver a Nigeria not based on low-level Mephistophelian rumor mongering. Let's look at these persons. Let's look at what the Constitution says. Let's look at who is fit, who is mentally and physically fit, who has a cross-border, cross-sectional, cross-geopolitical handshake to make Pedro and Edo man feel comfortable in the new leadership. That is what we should be looking at. We should be looking at what are they going to do for Nigerians tomorrow. How do we get out of this existential lacuna?
All right, Dr.
I don't want to be
Obaseki.
here beginning to bandy, on a serious note, to be bandying words on who is living under someone's wife's bed covers. It doesn't help the people of Bini, neither does it help the people of Iragbeji, neither does it help the people of Jada. We
All right,
must
Dr.
look at
Obaseki,
who
permit
will
me to
rescue
interject at this
Nigeria
point.
now. Yes, sir.
Let's talk about,
Yes.
as I say, clear and present danger almost for the PDP. The G5 governors, they've been the thorn in the flesh of the presidential candidates of the PDP.
Yes.
They were out and about yesterday in Enugu State, and the G5 governors were clearly present, of course being hosted by Governor Egwuanyi, and they were flagging off the governorship candidates of Enugu State. How much of a distraction has this G5 governors been to the aspirations of Atiku Abubakar? And how much would it take away from the PDP, understanding that these are men that control, that probably are almost gatekeepers for key states that the PDP will be hoping to win. And right now they have decided, and they've been defiant in their stance, that they want to stay away from the PDP because we've not seen them attend any rallies of Atiku Abubakar. But we saw them yesterday come out in their full regalia, and they were there to support the governorship candidate of the PDP in Enugu State.
Aaron, you know the Ghanaian bird called Chichidodo? The Ghanaian bird that hates, that hates shit, and yet is the maggot from shit. You see, I understand to a large extent the angst and the vituperations of our brothers and leaders in those 5 states. But I say clearly that in spite of the fact that they've been irritative in terms of trying to derail the campaign, they have not so far. And I don't want to begin to legislate what will happen on the 25th of February. Like Shakespeare said, he said there is no art yet to tear the mind's construction on the face. I think that I don't want to come at this very late hour to begin to legislate that this is how it's going to be. But let me say this clearly. It is almost arithmetically impossible for the 5 governors who are members of the PDP not to deliver PDP in their states. It is almost impossible. And for someone like Sheyi Makinde, it's actually even an existential problem. For the others, they are all running aside of Wike, and they are all running on the same day. I mean, the other 3 of them, Ugwuanyi, Otom, and they are running on the very same day. And Okezie Ikpeazu, as Atiku Abubakar, on the same election, where every voter is accorded only 90 to 120 seconds to cast his vote for 3 candidates in 3 elections that are piled together. I do not think that any of them, all of them, corporately or individually, have the mechanics to be able to go to Isikwato or go to Arochukwu or go to Amichidodo in Enugu State to begin to tell people, not press umbrella here, press... What they are is an exercise in futility. The primary persons that will be hurt in those localities, in Abia South, amongst the people of Obingwa, Osisiomangwa, Abangwa, Ukwa, East and West, who are going to vote that day against a seemingly stronger Baribe on that day for the senatorial election, I think Victor Okezie Ikpeazu is walking a tight existential rope. And the only way that can be delivered is for him to join forces so that his people will not be having mental dyslexia, trying to decipher which place we go press hand for this one. That is the truth. Of course, we can say, oh, no, the elections are different. No, we have to tell ourselves the truth. In a nation where almost 70% of the electorate are not going to be that discerning, it is an exercise in futility. Now, taken from the interviews of the last few days with Makinde, it is obvious that they are like prodigal children who are willing to come home, and the PDP is open for that to happen. And we are also happy. I was in Ibadan the other day for the rally in Oyo State. It was with the full support of Seyi Makinde to make that happen. So I believe, like they said, one day is a lifetime in politics. So I do not see the PDP coasting home on the 25th of February with the 5 of them looking like kids that missed the bus. They will be holding ordurantly to the wrong end of a horse's tail, and they may just be covered in the feces of the horses. It is clear from as the forget the earlier polling that were coming out, which were all skewed. It is clear that Atiku will win, not just win. He will win on the first ballot. Atiku is the only one. Read all the things that they've been putting out of late by more credible sources. He will win between 19 and 21 states outright. It is not rocket science. And in spite of the disturbances from our brothers, at the end of the day, teeth and tongue go still live for inside the same mouth. And I can assure you that the only person that may not have a pathway to victory is the candidate of the APC, where we now have the APC saying the APC of Tinubu saying the APC of Buhari is trying to stop the APC from winning the next election. This is clear. So what we have here is a situation where all the scales are falling from the faces of those who have been trying to hoodwink Nigerians. Let's be frank. We have a 3.5 horse race in a nation that was used ab initio to a 2-horse race. Now, what does this portend? In a first past the post election, that we do not, I want to appeal to Nigerians. We have seen the suffering that the APC misrule has put Nigerians in. We have seen the monumental. Steve, you were a commissioner in Lagos State. You know that the Lagos State where you were commissioner is not the Lagos State we are in today. That is the truth. Even though it's just 4 or 5 years down the line, there need to be some person who has the verve, the presence of mind, the courage, the cross-border relationship, the metrics to be able to rescue Nigeria from the brink.
All right, Dr. Obaseki, for the brevity of time, permit me to actually just interject. Still talking about the G5 and the issue in Abia State.
Yes.
What will happen in Abia? Talk to us about this when a G5 governor suddenly needs Professor Yocha Aya, talking about the PDP chairman, to sign off on the new governorship candidate for the PDP, because you know what is happening in Abia State with the death of Professor Ikone, the governorship candidate. Talk to us about that very tricky situation.
You see, actually, it's just a situation where all chickens come home to roost. That's why I use the word prodigal. Now it is the national body that must run a new primaries as prescribed by law within the next 14 days. That within the next 12 now days. I think it also provides an opportunity for those who've been playing God to realize their mortality. And I think that in the new dispensation, maybe it's God at work. Everybody will have to sit down to rescue Abia State, a state that is a perpetual, almost endemic PDP state. Now, in this situation that has just been thrown up, it means that Okezie Ikpeazu must now interface with Dr. Yocha Ayu. And I think in that will present all parties the opportunity to begin to bridge all the gaps and wallpaper all the cracks. And I know that it is going to come out well for the PDP at the end of the day. I keep saying that it is an existential threat to 4 of the 5 G5 governors who are running, particularly 3 of them who are running on the same day with my principal, Atiku Abubakar, our president in waiting. Okay. And it is clear that except they are going to poison their own eyes, the only pathway is the pathway of togetherness, of unity, and delivering the PDP at the polls so as to rescue Nigeria from the 8 years of the locust of the APC.
Okay, just 2 quick questions before we let you go. You've argued eloquently in the past about why an Atiku ought to be president from Northeast over, say, anybody from the Southeast, even though you are a South-South person yourself. Then all of a sudden, we've seen videos or a specific video by the wife of your candidate, G-5 Abubakar, saying that because no Yoruba woman has been first lady since 1999, that people should consider that so that our husband can be voted into power. Is this a kind of a strategy or another type of our local, you know, for the wife of your principal saying that vote for me? The second point, so that you can take the two of them quickly together. How complicit is your party in the lingering fuel scarcity, and if you like, the scarcity of the new Naira notes too? Ashwaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu of the APC has clarified what he said in Abeokuta at Makodi, saying that no, there is sabotage and the PDP is behind that sabotage. How complicit are you guys? Briefly, please. Very briefly.
I will start. Okay, quickly. Let me just in the terms of our first lady, Titi Abubakar, it just shows the plurality of Atiku as a human being. Don't you get it? That he is the only one who is in-law to the whole Southwest, in-law to the Southeast, from the Northeast. And of course, Pedro, a South Southerner, is an apostle of the Atiku gospel. Now, it shows that in spite of the fact that we are of variegating and diverse ethnicities, as stated in our own anthem, though our tribes and our tongues may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Titi Abubakar is the proof that the Yoruba nation has no problem with Atiku Abubakar, in the sense that since 1971, he married this woman. They still date together, and the woman still they follow and waka. So it shows that if a bomb is going to be thrown to divide this Nigerian nation, Atiku's children are brothers to people in the Southeast. His children are brothers to people in the Southwest. Atiku is the bridge across the Niger. He is the ultimate psychosomatic and mental unifier of this country that is at the verge of the brink. Now, for the APC, and who have taken propaganda to the levels of high art, you face a nation today, we are buying fuel in Abuja for 400 naira, where even if it is not available. In my place in Benin, even the APC candidate in one of the senatorial races who owns a fuel station is selling it for 500 naira. And you are saying PDP, when not the power, when not be minister for petroleum, when not get anything to do with petroleum, now you want blame. It's like kids that miss the bus. You are also blaming us for the scarcity of the naira. A naira printed by the CBN, whose governor is a card-carrying member of the APC who was running for the APC presidential candidacy. Let me explain what is happening. Anytime Tinubu walks into Abeokuta, all the Orisha in Yoruba land congregate into his head, and it's like a man who has taken some
Pedro Obaseki. That's the much you can actually take.
So please.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pedro, for your time here on the morning show.
God bless you.
Okay?
Thank you. Thank you very much.